The flickering fluorescent lights overhead cast erratic shadows down the seemingly endless corridor of Station S-14. A faint metallic tang lingered in the recycled air, mingling with the unmistakable odor of military-grade protein paste, reheated one too many times. Tonight, like every night on this isolated outpost at the edge of the star belt, the station spun slowly through the void, its crew moving with the mechanical rhythm of a well-wound clock, marking time between shifts. Sergeant Ryan Sado plodded along the dimly lit hallway, his boots clanging hollowly against the metal grating. 12 hours into his patrol, his muscles ached, and his thoughts drifted to the solitary comfort of his bunk. The monotony of life on S-14 had grown stifling months ago. Another patrol done, another day scratched off his mandatory service term. He pressed his palm to the biometric scanner outside his quarters, awaiting the familiar beep of access. As the door slid open, Ryan stopped dead in the doorway. His private retreat, normally a Spartan cell with just a bed, a desk, and meticulously arranged military gear, now held an uninvited visitor. Perched cross-legged on his bunk with the ease of someone who belonged, was the strangest woman he'd ever seen. Her hair shimmered like starlight against his drab military sheets, a cascade of silver that seemed to change hues with her movements. Two delicate antennae protruded from her temples, twitching slightly as she turned to face him, her eyes glinting with unfathomable depth. In her hands was his prized emergency ration bar, the high-protein, dark chocolate flavor worth its weight in gold on this forsaken station. "Oh, hello," she said brightly, taking another bite. "This isn't the waste processing unit, is it? I was looking for a quiet spot to rest, and this seemed ideal. These snacks are wonderful, by the way, far better than the nutrient cubes we have back home." Ryan blinked, his exhausted mind grappling with the scene. He must be hallucinating from sleep deprivation. That was the only explanation for an alien woman sitting on his bed, eating his carefully rationed food, and smiling as if this were perfectly ordinary. What? How did you get in here?" he stammered, his hand instinctively reaching for the communicator on his belt. The woman uncrossed her legs and stood with fluid grace, her movements hinting she wasn't entirely bound by human gravity. "I'm Taya," she declared proudly. "I came through the ventilation system. Your station's ducts are surprisingly roomy, though your signage is dreadful. Deck 4, Section B could mean anything." Ryan glanced at his security panel, stunned to see no alerts of a breach or unauthorized entry. His gaze returned to Taya, who was now rifling through his desk drawer with keen curiosity. "You need to leave," he said, trying to sound firm, though his voice wavered. "This is a restricted military facility. Civilians, especially aliens, aren't allowed in private quarters." Taya turned, holding up a pair of his socks with genuine awe. "These are remarkable. So simple, yet they mold perfectly to the foot. My planet's textiles are all self-shaping. This is so basic. It's almost ingenious." Despite his fatigue and the absurdity of the situation, Ryan suppressed a smile. There was something oddly charming about her fascination with his mundane possessions, but protocol snapped him back to reality. An unauthorized alien on a military station was a major security violation. "Listen, Taya," he said carefully, "I don't know how you got here or why, but if security finds you, we're both in serious trouble." She tilted her head, her antennae quivering thoughtfully. "Security? Oh, you mean those folks with the grim faces and fancy uniforms. They were too busy with their card game in the monitoring room to notice me. I doubt they'll spot anything tonight." Ryan's eyes widened. She'd slipped past the guards unnoticed. Either they were slacking or she had abilities he couldn't comprehend. Neither option was reassuring. Still, he pressed on. "You need to go. Now." Taya's expression dimmed, her silver eyes losing some of their sparkle. "But it's so fascinating here. Your room has such personality, and these ration bars are exceptional. Can't I stay just for tonight? I'll be silent. You won't even know I'm here. You're eating my food and rummaging through my stuff, Ryan pointed out, though his resolve was weakening. I'll replace it all, she promised quickly. I have a matter replicator on my ship. I can make you 10 of these bars. Or 100. The mention of a ship caught his attention. You have a ship? Then why are you here? It's in stealth mode in your cargo bay, she said casually. Don't worry, it's tiny and energy efficient. No one will detect it. I'm just exploring, learning about human culture. Your species is intriguing, so serious, yet you create wonders like this chocolate-flavored ration bar. Ryan ran a hand through his short black hair, a headache forming. Every instinct screamed to report her, but her earnest curiosity and delight in the smallest human details made him hesitate. One night, he said finally, surprising himself. You can stay one night, but you have to be gone by morning, and you can't leave this room. Taya's face lit up, her smile seeming to brighten the room. Thank you. You won't regret this. I'm an excellent guest. I've already tweaked your environmental controls. The humidity was all wrong for human comfort. Ryan noticed the air did feel crisper, less stale. He sank into his desk chair, watching as Taya settled back onto his bed, as if she'd always belonged there. What have I gotten myself into? He muttered, though a small part of him was already intrigued by what other surprises this strange visitor might bring to his dull military life. Morning brought complications Ryan should have foreseen, but hadn't in his exhausted state. He woke to find Taya hadn't just stayed. She'd spent the pre-dawn hours reorganizing his entire quarters. His military-issue boots were now arranged by usage frequency instead of regulation order, and his protein bars were sorted by flavor and nutritional value. Good morning, Taya chirped, looking even more radiant than the night before. I made breakfast. Well, I upgraded your protein paste dispenser. It now offers 17 flavor combinations. Ryan stared at the once basic dispenser, now adorned with new buttons and a holographic display. Part of him wanted to be furious about the unauthorized changes, but the aroma from the freshly dispensed breakfast bowl was undeniably enticing. Before he could respond, a sharp knock at the door froze them both. "Sado, you in there?" came Private Jensen's familiar voice, his patrol partner. Taya's eyes widened, and she scanned for a hiding spot. Ryan gestured frantically toward the storage closet, then remembered it was packed with gear. Instead, he ushered her into the bathroom, mouthing, "Stay quiet," as she slipped behind the sliding door. "Come in," Ryan called, opening the door just enough to block the view inside. Jensen peered at him suspiciously. "Heard odd noises from your room last night. Everything okay?" "Just watching some old Earth vids," Ryan lied poorly. "Couldn't sleep after patrol." Jensen raised an eyebrow. "Since when do you watch vids? And what's that smell? It's not standard protein paste." A muffled sneeze-like sound came from the bathroom. Ryan coughed loudly to cover it. "Think I'm catching something," he said quickly. "Probably the recycled air." "Better keep your distance." Jensen stepped back instinctively. "Right. Briefing's in 30. Don't be late." He paused, sniffing again. "Seriously, what did you do to your food processor?" "Special dietary needs," Ryan mumbled. "Medical orders." Once Jensen left, Taya emerged, her antennae twitching with barely contained laughter. "That was thrilling. Are all your mornings this eventful?" "No," Ryan groaned, slumping against the wall. "This is definitely not normal. And you were supposed to leave at dawn." "But I haven't finished my upgrades," she protested, pointing to a half-disassembled device on his desk he didn't recognize. "Besides, your coffee maker is woefully outdated. I can fix it." "Please don't fix anything else," Ryan begged, but it was too late. Taya had already turned her attention to the ancient coffee maker, standard issue since the station's construction. As Ryan rushed through his morning routine and headed to the briefing, Taya stayed behind, promising to stay out of trouble. He should have known better. Trouble arrived during the mid-morning coffee break. The common room erupted in confusion when the improved coffee maker not only brewed the best coffee anyone had tasted, but also began playing alien jazz music. "What in the stars?" Lieutenant Marianne demanded, staring at the machine as it crooned a melodic tune about caffeine extraction. Ryan's stomach sank. He recognized Taya's handiwork. The coffee maker's display now showed a cheerful, animated face that winked at each user. Probably a glitch, he offered weakly, but his fellow soldiers were already marveling at the transformation. "This is the best coffee since Earth," Corporal Davies declared. 5-star declared, sipping again. "Whatever glitch this is, I hope it stays." By the time Ryan returned to his quarters, Taya had been busy. His room now featured a miniature weather system for optimal air circulation, and his desk lamp emitted full-spectrum light to boost mental health. "You promised to stay out of trouble," he said, torn between exasperation and awe. Taya looked up from her latest project, her silver eyes sparkling. "But I did. I've been improving things. Don't you like the coffee maker's new personality? I gave it 17 languages and a grasp of human humor." "It's singing jazz in the common room," Ryan said. "Oh, that's its morning routine," Taya replied. "Wait till you hear the evening ballads." Ryan sank onto his newly upgraded bed, which adjusted its firmness automatically. "Taya, you can't keep doing this. People will notice. They'll ask questions." She sat beside him, her expression turning serious. "I'm sorry. I just see so many ways things could be better. Your species has such potential, but you limit yourselves with rules and fear of change." There was a hint of loneliness in her voice that made Ryan pause. "Why are you really here?" he asked softly. Taya's antennae drooped slightly. "My world is beautiful but rigid. Everything is perfect, optimized, efficient. There's no room for mistakes, for happy accidents, for jazz-singing coffee makers." She smiled wistfully. "I wanted a place where imperfection was allowed, where things could be messy and wonderful." Ryan understood more than he expected. His life had been a cycle of regulations and routines, each day blending into the next, until Taya crashed into his world, upending everything. "One more night," he said, surprising himself. "But we have to be careful. And no more public equipment upgrades." Taya's smile returned, brighter than ever. "I promise," though I started on the shower system. The water pressure was terrible. As if on cue, a cheer echoed from the communal showers, someone exclaiming about the miraculous improvement. Ryan buried his face in his hands. "Oh, we're going to get caught." "Not if we're clever," Taya said, patting his shoulder. "Besides, everyone's happier already. Haven't you noticed?" He had. The station's usual dour mood had lifted subtly. People smiled more, lingered over their improved coffee, and savored the better showers. Maybe a little chaos wasn't so bad. That evening, as they shared a meal of remarkably enhanced protein paste, Ryan opened up about his dreams and frustrations. He spoke of his childhood fascination with space exploration, how he'd wanted to be a pilot but joined the military to support his family. "The stars called to you," Taya observed, her antennae swaying gently. "But duty kept you grounded." "Something like that," Ryan admitted. "What about you? Why leave your perfect world?" "Perfection is overrated," she said simply. "My people have mastered technology but forgotten how to be surprised, how to laugh at unexpected things, like Jensen's face when he smelled the coffee this morning." They laughed, and Ryan realized he hadn't felt this alive in months. Taya's perspective, her ability to find joy in the mundane, refreshed him in ways he hadn't known he needed. Their moment was interrupted by an urgent, station-wide announcement. "All personnel to stations. Anomalous energy signatures detected in residential sector." Ryan's blood ran cold. They were scanning for Taya. The crisis began with an alert that sent personnel scrambling. Ryan realized the inevitable had happened. Someone had noticed the energy patterns from Taya's upgrades. "We need a plan," he said, pacing his quarters while Taya calmly tinkered with what looked like his alarm clock. "I could disguise myself," she offered, unperturbed. "My species has limited shape-shifting abilities. Nothing drastic, but enough to pass as human from a distance." "That won't fool a bioscan," Ryan said. "They'll do a genetic sweep and find you." Taya's eyes gleamed with mischief. "Not if I give them something else to chase first." She produced a small device and adjusted its controls. "This will create false readings across the station. They'll be hunting shadows for hours." "That's just delaying the inevitable," Ryan argued, but he admitted it bought time. "Time's all we need," Taya said. "Now, about that disguise, I'll need a uniform." 20 minutes later, Taya was transformed into a passable maintenance worker. Her silver hair was tucked under a regulation cap, her antennae concealed, and she wore one of Ryan's spare uniforms, tailored to fit. A holographic ID badge completed the ruse. "Remember," Ryan coached as they prepared to leave, "maintenance workers look busy and annoyed. Don't smile too much, avoid eye contact, and always carry a tool." Taya adopted a perfect scowl and hefted a plasma wrench with practiced indifference. "That's actually perfect," Ryan said, impressed by her acting. Their plan worked for the first hour. Taya played her role flawlessly, even grumbling about overtime pay when questioned by a passing officer. But their luck ran out when Lieutenant Marianne appeared in the corridor, her sharp eyes scanning every face. "Sergeant Sado," she called, freezing them both. "A word." Ryan stepped forward, shielding Taya. "Yes, Lieutenant?" "These energy anomalies started in your sector," Marianne said, her gaze flicking to Taya. "And who's this? I don't recognize her from the maintenance roster." "New transfer," Ryan lied quickly. "Just arrived yesterday. Still getting oriented." Marianne's eyes narrowed. "Funny, I approve all transfers, and I don't recall any new maintenance personnel." Taya maintained her disguise perfectly. "Must be a paperwork error, ma'am," she grumbled, mimicking a bored technician. "Happens a lot with the system upgrades." For a moment, it seemed Marianne might buy it. Then her communicator chirped with an urgent message, and her expression hardened. "Interesting," she said slowly. "The bioscanners just detected non-human DNA in this exact location. Care to explain, Sergeant?" Ryan's mind raced, but before he could respond, the station's alarms blared. Emergency lights flashed, and a computerized voice announced, "Warning, cascade failure in environmental systems. All personnel to emergency stations." In the ensuing chaos, Ryan lost sight of Taya as personnel rushed to their posts. A failure in the environmental systems was dire. Without life support, the station had hours before becoming uninhabitable. Ryan was swept to the command center where confusion reigned. Multiple systems were failing, and no one could pinpoint the cause. A chilling thought hit him. Had Taya's modifications triggered this? Then he spotted her. She'd shed her disguise and stood openly by the main control panel, her silver hair and antennae visible. Security officers had weapons trained on her, but she seemed unfazed, her fingers flying over the controls with inhuman speed. "Stand down," Marianne shouted to her team. "She's stabilizing the systems." As Taya worked, warning lights shifted from red to green. The cascade failure reversed, and within minutes the station systems were not only stable, but performing better than ever. "There," Taya announced, stepping back. "Your primary regulation matrix was corrupted. I've installed a self-healing protocol to prevent future issues. Also, your oxygen recycling efficiency is now 99.7%, up from 82%. The room fell silent as everyone stared. Ryan pushed through the crowd to stand beside her, ready to defend her if needed. Lieutenant Marianne approached, her expression unreadable. "You're not human," she stated. "No," Taya said cheerfully. "I'm from Vexus Prime, about 12 light-years away. I'm what you'd call a tourist." "A tourist who can fix systems our best engineers couldn't," Marianne said. "I'm a very talented tourist," Taya replied with a smile. Marianne turned to Ryan. "And you knew about this?" Ryan stood tall, meeting her gaze. "She appeared in my quarters 2 days ago. I was going to report it, but—" He glanced at Taya. "She's shown no hostility. In fact, she's been improving things. Coffee makers, showers, systems." "The coffee maker," someone muttered. "And the showers," another added. "Sector 7's temperature controls finally work." Marianne raised a hand for silence. "So, an alien infiltrated our station and, instead of sabotage, made significant improvements?" The chief engineer nodded, studying the readouts. "Her efficiency upgrades will save thousands in energy costs. That self-healing protocol. We won't have that tech for 50 years. The room's tension eased as the truth sank in. Taya wasn't a threat. She'd saved the station from catastrophe. "This is highly irregular," Marianne said. "Protocol requires detaining you and contacting Central Command." "Of course," Taya nodded agreeably. "Though your communication array has an encryption vulnerability. I could fix it while we wait if you'd like." Several people chuckled, and even Marianne's stern demeanor softened. "Sergeant Sado, escort our guest to the briefing room. We need to discuss proper channels for technological upgrades. And someone get me a secure line to Central Command. We'll need a new visitor status category." As Ryan led Taya out, she whispered, "See? I told you it'd work out." "You planned this?" he asked, incredulous. "Not exactly," she said, "but I knew if people saw I could help, they'd be more open. Humans are practical, despite your love of rules." The inquiry that followed was unprecedented in S-14's history. Taya sat at the briefing room's center, surrounded by senior staff, calmly answering questions and suggesting system improvements. "Your coffee maker now has 300% better flavor extraction," she told a fascinated Corporal Davies. "And I added a mood detection algorithm to suggest drinks based on your emotional state." "That explains the chamomile tea after the alert," Davies murmured. Lieutenant Marianne kept order, though even she seemed intrigued. "Let me get this straight," she said, reviewing her notes. "You traveled alone in a stealth ship beyond our detection systems, out of curiosity." "Essentially," Taya confirmed. "My people have observed Earth for a while. You're an enigma in the galactic community. Technologically young, but remarkably adaptable. I wanted to experience human culture firsthand." "And you chose a military outpost for this?" Marianne asked. Taya shrugged, a surprisingly human gesture. "I detected unique energy patterns from your station. Plus, military bases reflect a society's structure. I thought it'd be educational to see humans under strict rules." "And your conclusion?" Marianne asked. "You're wonderfully contradictory," Taya said warmly. "You create rigid systems, then find creative ways to bend them. You value order but celebrate individuality. It's fascinating." Ryan, standing at attention, spoke up. "Lieutenant, if I may." Marianne nodded. "Taya's shown nothing but goodwill. Yes, she entered without authorization, but she prevented a major failure and boosted station efficiency. There's an opportunity here for cultural exchange, for technical advancement. We could learn from her and she from us." Murmurs of agreement spread among the staff. The chief engineer scribbled notes on Taya's upgrades, while the medical officer eyed her biological scans with interest. Marianne considered this. Central Command would take months to approve an official exchange program. "Then don't make it official," Taya suggested. "Call me a consultant, a temporary technical advisor from very far away. That's still irregular but not unprecedented, the legal advisor said. We've had civilian contractors. Her being non-human doesn't technically violate regulations, as they never anticipated this. The discussion lasted hours, with department heads weighing benefits and risks. Taya remained patient, occasionally demonstrating solutions to long-standing station issues with devices from her seemingly endless pockets. Finally, Marianne decided, pending Central Command's approval, which I'll request in the vaguest terms possible, Taya will receive temporary advisor status. She'll have official quarters, not just squatting in yours, Sergeant Sado, and limited access to non-classified systems. A few staff cheered, quickly silenced by Marianne's glare. However, she continued, all system modifications must be pre-approved. No more surprise upgrades, no matter how useful. And Taya, you'll attend a briefing on military protocols. Of course, Taya agreed, though your emergency protocols could use updating. Want me to prepare a presentation? Marianne sighed, but her eyes held a hint of amusement. One step at a time. Sergeant Sado, since you're familiar with our guest, you'll be her liaison officer. Ensure she understands our procedures. Yes, ma'am, Ryan said, suppressing a grin. As the meeting ended, Taya turned to Ryan with a triumphant smile. Told you I'd find a way to stay. You manipulated this whole thing, didn't you? He asked, though he wasn't upset. I call it creative problem-solving, she said. Your station needed help, and I needed a purpose. It's a win-win. Over the next few days, with official sanction, Taya's improvements transformed S-14. Food synthesizers produced actual meals, environmental systems maintained perfect comfort, and the glitchy communication array worked flawlessly. More importantly, the station's atmosphere shifted. Personnel, once counting days until their rotation ended, now lingered in common areas, sharing stories and laughter. The coffee maker's morning jazz became a cherished ritual, and someone taught it to tell jokes. Ryan spent more time with Taya, officially as her liaison, but increasingly because he enjoyed her company. She showed him marvels, holographic star maps of her home system, devices that turned pulsar emissions into music, and technologies that blurred science and magic. In return, he introduced her to human concepts she found captivating. The illogical beauty of poetry, the emotional depth of classical music, and the simple joy of shared meals. One evening on the observation deck watching stars drift by, Taya grew serious. I didn't come here just out of curiosity, she said softly. Ryan waited, sensing the weight of her words. My people have forgotten how to dream, she continued. We've optimized everything, solved every problem, eliminated inefficiency, but we've lost something vital, the ability to imagine something better, even when things are perfect. She gestured at the bustling station. Humans still dream. You reach for what's beyond your grasp. That's why I came, to remember what it feels like to want more. Ryan considered this. Have you found it? Taya smiled, her antennae swaying. I found something unexpected, a place where imperfection creates possibility, where a broken coffee maker becomes a source of joy, where a soldier befriends an alien. And it's not so strange anymore. Well, it's a little strange, Ryan said, laughing. But it's accepted. That's what counts. She paused, then added, I've been thinking about requesting permanent assignment here. Ryan's heart skipped. Really? If the station will have me, and if my liaison officer doesn't mind continuing, she said. I think we can arrange that, Ryan replied, his voice steady despite his racing pulse. Months passed, and Taya became integral to station life, officially titled Interstellar Technical Consultant, a role created for her. Her quarters, once a storage room, blended human and Vexian aesthetics. S-14 became a legend in the military network, with unmatched efficiency, soaring morale, and a waiting list for transfers. Central Command stopped asking questions, unable to argue with the results. Ryan changed too. The rigid sergeant embraced a bit of chaos, looking forward to each day, curious about Taya's next wonder or creative solution. Their relationship grew beyond friendship, though they hadn't labeled it. They shared meals, collaborated on projects, and spent hours discussing everything from quantum physics to tea brewing. One morning, as they ate perfectly crafted omelets from the upgraded synthesizer, Taya made an announcement. "I've been in contact with my homeworld," she said casually. Ryan felt a chill. "Are they calling you back?" "No, they're sending an observation team to study the S-14 phenomenon. Our success here has challenged their beliefs about absolute optimization." "That's good, right?" Ryan asked. Taya nodded. "It's revolutionary. For the first time in generations, my people are questioning whether perfection is the ultimate goal. They want to learn from humans, from us." Ryan was stunned. "But our tech is primitive compared to yours." "Tech isn't everything," Taya said, touching his hand. "You have something we lost. The courage to be imperfect, to make mistakes, to try things that might fail. That's more valuable than any device." The Vexian team's arrival was a major event. Three beings, similar to Taya but more reserved, materialized in the docking bay. They observed with clinical precision, taking notes and asking pointed questions. Ryan noticed how Taya had changed, more animated, expressive, human, compared to her stoic compatriots. After a week, the team prepared to leave. Their leader, a tall figure with silver skin and piercing blue eyes, addressed the staff. "We expected chaos," he said. "Instead, we found a new model of cooperation. Your integration of our technology with human flexibility has created something neither could achieve alone. This station will be studied for generations." As they departed, Taya turned to Ryan with a mischievous grin. "Guess what? They've classified me as culturally contaminated. I'm too human to return to Vexian society." "Is that a problem?" Ryan asked, concerned. "Not at all," she said. "It means I stay here indefinitely as a permanent cultural liaison, if that's okay with you." Ryan feigned seriousness. "Well, I suppose we need a permanent consultant, and the coffee maker would be heartbroken if you left." "Just the coffee maker?" Taya asked, her antennae tilting playfully. "Maybe not just it," Ryan admitted. A year after Taya's arrival, S-14 was the most sought-after assignment in the military network and an unofficial embassy for alien visitors studying the human Vexian experiment. Ryan and Taya shared quarters, a larger space blending their cultures. Their relationship defied both human and Vexian protocols, but that didn't matter. They'd created their own category, just as they'd forged a new way of life on the station. One evening, watching stars through their expanded viewport, Taya raised a topic they'd avoided. "Your service term ends in 6 months," she said carefully. Ryan nodded, having thought about it often. "I could re-enlist, request permanent assignment to S-14. "But that's not what you really want, is it?" Taya asked, her silver eyes reflecting starlight. "You dreamed of being a pilot, exploring the unknown." "That was before," Ryan said. "Before I found something worth staying for." Taya smiled, producing a holographic projector. "What if you didn't have to choose?" The device displayed a sleek ship blending human and Vexian designs. "It's a new class of vessel," Taya said. "Exploration and diplomacy combined, the first of its kind." Ryan studied it, awestruck. "It's beautiful. Why show me this?" "Because I've been offered command of the prototype, the first joint human-Vexian deep space mission, and I need a co-pilot, someone who understands both cultures, who can bridge our peoples." She paused, her antennae quivering nervously. "Someone I trust completely." Ryan's heart raced. You want me to come with you? Leave the station? I want us to explore the universe together, Taya corrected. To find new worlds, make discoveries, and show other species what we've learned here. That imperfection and difference are strengths. But what about S-14? Ryan asked. What we've built will continue without us, Taya said. It's sustainable, growing on its own. Lieutenant Marianne agrees. It's the logical next step for human-Vexian cooperation. Ryan looked around their quarters at the comfortable, predictable life they'd built. His training valued stability, but Taya had shown him the beauty of the unexpected. When would we leave? He asked. Taya's face lit up. After your term ends, we'll have time to train and prepare. The ship's still being built, incorporating both our technologies, including, she grinned, an advanced coffee maker with a full personality matrix and over 10,000 songs. Ryan laughed, a weight lifting. How could I say no? The following months were a whirlwind. News of the joint mission spread, sparking excitement across human space. S-14 became a training hub for the future crew, a mix of humans and Vexians. Ryan underwent rigorous pilot training, mastering Vexian systems that responded to thought and touch. Taya worked with engineers to refine the ship's design, applying lessons from their time on the station. Their bond deepened, evolving into a synchronicity that amazed even the Vexians. When they stood on the bridge of their completed ship, the Aurora, named for the lights dancing between worlds, it felt like fate. The launch ceremony drew dignitaries from multiple species. S-14's corridors buzzed with diverse beings, witnessing the historic moment. Commander Marianne, newly promoted, gave a speech that moved many to tears. A year ago, we were a forgotten outpost. Today, we launch the future. This is what happens when we embrace the unknown instead of fearing it. As Ryan and Taya prepared to board, the coffee maker played a farewell song composed for the occasion. The crew lined up to say goodbye, many emotional over the departure of the pair who'd transformed their lives. You'll visit, right? Corporal Davies asked, clutching a thermos of perfect coffee. Of course, Taya said. S-14 will always be our first home. Private Jensen, who'd once suspected something odd in Ryan's quarters, stepped forward. I had a feeling that morning something big was happening. I just didn't know how big. Neither did we, Ryan said, shaking his hand. The Aurora's maiden voyage took them beyond known space. They discovered crystal forests singing with solar winds, nebulas painting the void like living art, and civilizations defying conventional life. But their greatest discovery was their partnership, born of chance, nurtured by acceptance, a model for a new kind of exploration. Everywhere they went, they shared S-14's lessons. Diversity fuels strength. Imperfection fosters growth, and the best discoveries come from embracing the unexpected. Years later, historians would trace the transformation of human-alien relations to a single moment on a remote station. The night an alien woman stumbled into a soldier's room and chose to stay. It marked a new era, not for the technology or protocols, but because two beings from different worlds learned that home is a connection between hearts brave enough to embrace the unknown. Aboard the Aurora, Ryan and Taya continued their journey, the coffee maker still playing jazz each morning, improvising melodies for alien sunrises. The environmental systems balanced comfort with delightful surprises. In their quarters, a hologram of S-14 glowed, a reminder of where it began. Do you ever regret it? Ryan asked one evening, watching a binary star system bathe the bridge in blue and gold. Staying that first night instead of leaving? Taya laughed, her antennae swaying. Regret finding a home? Regret meeting you? Never. She paused, mock serious. Though I sometimes regret teaching the coffee maker jokes. Some are awful. They're all awful, Ryan agreed, pulling her close. And I wouldn't change a thing. Outside, the stars danced, brimming with mysteries. On the Aurora's bridge, two explorers who'd found each other by chance sailed into the infinite, proving the greatest adventures begin with simple acts of kindness and curiosity. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor. And perhaps that was the greatest discovery, that joy, wonder, and love could thrive anywhere, as long as there were beings brave enough to embrace the imperfect, beautiful chaos of life. As their ship ventured deeper into the unknown, Ryan and Taya faced each challenge together. They'd already achieved the impossible, turning a chance encounter into a love that spanned the stars and transforming a forgotten outpost into the cradle of a new era. Somewhere on a station at the edge of known space, a coffee maker sang its morning songs, greeting each dawn with jazz and jokes, a lasting testament that the universe's greatest changes often begin with the smallest, most unexpected moments.